All right, everybody. I hope you guys had a great weekend. We are going to be playing some more Resident Evil 2 Remake here. Playing through the Claire playthrough, and I think since we're in the Umbrella Labs, this is probably going to be either the last stream or the second to last stream because I think we can finish this up pretty soon here. Let me go ahead and let me turn off the music here and then we can hop on over to the game. That visible. Here I can see all you lovely people and also see your activity here. It keeps like putting things in weird spots. Hold on. I I got it. Over here. I don't know why. Resident Evil is the only game that does like really strange as far as like how it sets things on my screen. So all right, so I haven't played in a while because we're only playing this on Mondays and Tuesdays. So let's see. So I got a bracelet. I got the thing that I need to start making the poison for the plants, and I got the little wave modulator jam. So definitely, I think I got to do the little wave modulator. Some health. So that. Grab some more just in case I do need it. I doubt I will. You know, I mean, at least until we fight a boss or something. So, all right, let's see. Remember where I can use the wave. So I think I need to go back all the way. There was some this way. I can use the modulator, the wibbly wobbly. So, yep. Well, maybe it's probably the next one. Get it? Actually dead? Trust you to be actually. Okay, that's what me. Here. Something to what's that do? Let's see. Examine. I gotta get this. I think that's my hearing music. Wanted to make me paranoid. Okay. Confused. Why can't I? Maybe I have to use it somewhere else. Okay, that's annoying. Whatever. Oh, by the way, I can't run my model while I'm playing this, so if you guys are confused why you can't see me... Oh, shit. Where'd you go? That zombie, like, literally teleport? What the fuck? Hey, Pensy. You're out of it today? I bet. I mean, you're still sick, so... I can only imagine. So... Gotta figure out where to use this, then. Yeah, it's just... She hit it with that back elbow so hard that it just, like, disintegrated into the ether, like... I don't know what the fuck happened to it. Oh, well. Alright. Yeah, she's got Goku power. I feel like there was somewhere else I could... Oh! Maybe this is the same zombie, like teleporting. Here I was talking all this shit about not actually needing, you know, like... But I think this is where I just pulled it out of. I feel like I took it out of this... He's got a headache. Yeah, I just used it. I just pulled it out of here. I couldn't use it in the other room, but I swear that's where I'm supposed to use it. He's super dead. He's definitely... Alright, maybe... Oh shit, I forgot there's like a billion things in there trying to kill me. Alright, I definitely need to take care of this liquid. Alright. Oh, you... Here, you know. Where'd he go? Okay, it's right there. This goddamn door keeps shutting on me. That's so annoying. Alright. Where are you here? Got way too high. Oh no! Oh no. Oh what? He's back up. Damn it, where's the clicker? Oh. Bitch. Let's see where the get rid of Mr. Zombie guy here. Brother, you've been so annoying. Oh, God. Okay, here's the spot. Guys, you guys gotta stay down. I don't trust you guys. I'm gonna adjust it for Earth. Okay. We can do that. Error? I have to do something to it first. Maybe I have to adjust the frequency first? Make it look like that? Okay. I remember this being annoying before. There we go. I figured it out. Now I can actually go back to the other thing there. God damn it. That means I gotta run all the way back. I'm sorry. Go back and do that. Oh, wait, I can go. I think that was the. Safe spot. And Murph. Murph. Oh. A lot of. Have to make ammo here. Ooh, yeah. Alright, let's see. Make some flame rounds. I gotta remember how the hell to do. Grenade. Guide pamphlet. Uses a gunpowder. Gunpowder is high grade, makes acid. High grade times 2 makes submachine gun. Oh, I need to make the fire. I need like an herb or something, maybe? But confused. Try red herb. If it'll let me. That. Two together, but that just makes submachine gun rounds. Sure. Flame rounds. I definitely need those because I need them for the fucking plants. Alright, I actually don't. So I guess I'll just make some more submachine gun rounds. I got 3, so maybe I'll be okay. Be neurotic. Alright. And all the way back. I don't have to, but I'm going to. Wait. I've been. Come back. Leave those look they did. I don't think I've actually. You're definitely. Yep. What I fucking thought. That's the dome you're gonna take. Jesus Christ. Just does not care.
You have 5 new messages.
Oh, I'm a doctor now. You can't make flame ones in this game. Gotta find. Wow, that's dumb. Especially since you need them. Like, what the fuck? Dr. Wayne Lee's inbox. Senator Rick Mendoza. What's he up to? Can you believe that bastard Cartwright? Cool your jets, asshole. Well, I guess he is the boss. For now, anyway, have you seen my Helix anywhere? I put the secret on the bottom. Let me know if you find it. So you couldn't make our little meeting. Fine, don't worry about the greenhouse inspection. Instead, I'll give you something real simple to do. Put together the budget estimate for the year after next and get it done tonight. We're under attack. People are dead. The east area is cut off. We can't operate the bridge with the wristbands we have here. Where's that bastard Cartwright hiding? Plant 43 is going wild. The greenhouse is hell. We need to send someone in there before it's too late. Wayne, how do we stop this thing? You have to help us. Please reply. Do you remember Susie, the cheerleader? What a great gal. We were both into her. Of course, she wasn't into nerds. I still have to give you back those comics and games I borrowed, but you might have to wait a while. Totally, like, nonsensical thing at the end there.
Damn. Should have packed my parka.
Come on, you're gonna get. Just because you're not reacting right now doesn't mean anything. Oh. Error. Oh, I have to do that first. I think I have to fill it up for regular gunpowder. That's nice. Alright, we'll come back. We'll freeze our buns off. Get back up. Okay. Find that other. Gotta go all the way back. That's still so rude. They had me like have hope that I could make more flame rounds. Speaking of needing flame rounds. pistol back. Alright. Sorry guys, I'm gonna be doing a lot of hating when I have to do backtracking. Just cause like I was silly, didn't realize something. But I feel like there's something useful back here at least. At least there should be. I hope there is. Isn't. I'm real annoyed. This one. This one also Murph, or is this a different one? So there's OSS Muff. What's this? Let's set it to. There we go. Knew it. Ah, you got my wristband, right? Got a wristband. Wayne Lee's note. Dear God. Blood everywhere. What the hell is happening? They're dead. They're all dead. It was those men in black, USS headquarters, special forces, but why? Isn't their job to protect us? White brains in a sea of red. This can't be happening. Dear God, why? Didn't everybody say I was a genius? A genius like me can't die in a place like this. I always get results. They're screwing with me. Well, maybe I'll screw them. I'll win the Nobel. I'm a hero, a genius, a god. I will not die. I will. Well, bad, bro. Ooh. Alright, that's my maximum inventory. Can I not pick up your, like, wristband here? That literally all it was for was just the inventory? Aha. Yep. Knew your ass. Bastard. Actually dead? Gonna get up some more? Oh, now you're not. Alright, I guess I don't get his little wristband. That's okay. Lights are here now. I mean, I guess the whole point of that was the race. So. Alright, whatever. There you are. Oh, yeah, I probably did already get his. I think you're right. I don't know, I just expected like a little bit more of a reward, I suppose. Just for being awesome, you know. They should be like, hey, Aniki's a fucking G. Let's give him something even better. You think I should switch back to this so I can also do my high-powered rounds? I feel like that might be useful. Especially now that I have like way more. Maybe we'll just keep both. It'll be okay. Sign to. Oh no, it's already on. Alright, I got all the guns. Kill the super teleporting zombie, yeah. Right. So, I thought there was something actually do back there. So, I think I need to go back to where it was looking like a little, like, boiler room area. I think. Save here.
Clearance required for computer.
Need for that. Control room, got presentation, got greenhouse. I need to go down. Running low on my flame rounds here. Lab. Doing here. This is. I think I need to go through. I think this just takes me back up to where the plants are, right? Yep. Takes me there. Great. I wonder if the acid will work on that too, though. I guess we'll find out. Oh, yeah, acid works on them too. Okay. Good to know. Let's get some. At least it puts them down. Alright, so I took the thing from out of here. I think I'm supposed to do with it here.
Error. Empty cartridge.
Yeah, bitch, I know.
Solution.
Already input the. I feel like I did. I got rid of the drug testing. doing right now? Hmm. Okay. He's got a thing. Can I go around and get that? I know you're not. I get it. You don't need to do stuff bad places. You'll get back. He's like, congratulations, you make really spoopy noises. Cause like I gotta fill like the solution somewhere, right? Like I gotta use my little thingy. I gotta figure out where the hell to do that. Gotta be here, right? An error because there's nothing in it. I gotta fill it somewhere. Fill it is the issue. It's this bitch. Sure, I'm not just like running past it. Hey, not know what to. I always. I was trying to avoid this on stream because I know me like watching me run around like lost, not knowing what the hell to do is not like exciting. So God, this place, this way. I like this glass or something. This is the main shaft. So there isn't really. I don't remember there's anything back here I can do. Lower. Uh, I, I got that trophy, and I think I put in the thing for it. I think I did at least. I'm not 100. Still have the trophy. Okay, I still have the trophy. Pretty sure last time with the code. Maybe I didn't do the code. I have a feeling maybe I need it. All right, maybe I have to put input the code. Take a picture. Okay. Oh, then the big. Ah, okay. That was something I needed. Okay, drug testing control. It's exactly where I am now, right? Drug test. Oh, uh, am I just? It's through here. Okay. Oh, I remember this. It's being real annoying. Herbicide synthesis. Wait 43 herbicide synthesis. Place an empty cartridge into the solution dispenser. Add the required amount of UMB number 21. Cool immediately. Plant 43 exhibits astounding growth. If something unfortunate were to occur, it may be hard to control. In the event of an unforeseen incident, manufacture the herbicide using the instructions above in order to minimize damage. Yeah, that's a bit of a understatement. Gonna get up. We got some. All right, I remember this being fun time. So and
Manual mode engaged. Adjust amount of solution to match cartridge capacity.
oh wait, back up. Oh, this one. Almost. Okay. Um, let's see. So do we swap from so this one almost there. Wait, it's all got to be in this big one, right? A little bit in the one, and then move between the back to the this one, like right, right. Swap here, or wait. Swap that one, right? Now we're back where we started. Okay, hold on, we can figure this out. That swap this, and there we go. Figured it out. Now I go back to the coal place. Okay. Gotta get it cold and then I can put it in. Just gonna run past because I think I can. I'm pretty sure like Mr. X shows up out of nowhere to bust through that. Alright. We can use our smorts. Down to the cold. I remember there. He just wants a hug, yeah. He's on the constant hunt for hugs. He will never stop until he gets his most satisfying hug. The eternal. See you twitching. Now you're gonna get back up. This guy is no ways. Go go, gadget
In
arm.
progress.
He just wants to wrap you up in that trench coat with him, you know? Keep you warm. See, they could have made a ton of this stuff, like, ahead of
Cleaning
time.
complete.
And then they wouldn't have these problems, right? They wouldn't even have to deal with this killer plant. Mr. X is gonna bust in. Swiggity swooty, I'm here for that booty. He just wants to give Claire a platonic massage. Yeah, I know. Where's the fun in that, right? When you're doing evil science, you gotta make sure there's absolutely no safety standards. Otherwise, it's not fun. What kind of scientist would you be if you had like some safety? You'd be a bad one, right? At least a bad evil scientist. I think so. I'll put some stuff. I don't really need them, but writing orders now. I don't know if I really need. Especially since now my organization doesn't make sense. Now, good enough. Okay. Gonna close through the glass. Do it to me. Plant man. Motherfucking plant man. Slow ass, fish ass.
Dispensing solution now.
Eat it, plants.
Warning. You have have dispersed a dangerous solution without authorization. Your actions have been logged, and you may be subject to disciplinary measures.
Oh, I didn't take out these guys. Whatever. They're slow. Unlike Mr. X here, who's gonna totally... Wait, where the hell's the body? Oh, it's on the other side. Son of a bitch. That's so annoying. Come over here. Now I gotta run around this way. Right. Yeah. Hey, guess what? I can go this way. Beat my ass. Run away. Oh, really? Really, guys? Good run. Right. No! Give me my knife. Alright. And for sure, I have to combine this now with that. Yeah, we're verbal. Okay. Now I'm gonna get chased. So where'd you come from? Nope, I'm not gonna get past. Give me her. I remember this scared the shit out of me the first time. Oh, you're not gonna do it? Do you only do that with Leon? Alright. So, now that I got that key. Wait, there was something I could do back. Something else, I think. Byron Cartwright's inbox. Sender, William Burkham. When did Nest become a nest for spies? 3 last month and another 4 this month. And those are just the ones we caught. Step up, security. Cartwright, or do you want to end up like your predecessor? Also, I'll be restricting access to the West area from today. Ignore all requests from headquarters for information on G. Those suits contribute nothing to this project anyway. Uh, Herbicide dispersal by unauthorized personnel detected in East area. Yep, that was me. Back this way to the main shaft. Full authorized. OSS. Wait, can I see? Where is it? Isn't a save point? Is a box. Good to know. So, so yeah, lights. Made this place a little nicer, you know? A little more like home. William Burkham's Inc. The Umbrella Corporation has decided to cease all research at the which was ongoing at the Nest underground laboratory. All funding for this project has been cut, and laboratory director William Birkin has been removed from his post. Thank you for your mail, Dr. Birkin. Top brass has expressed an evolving bioweapon. Do not worry about costs. Our company is the most well funded in the whole of the United States. I heard the good news. G is almost ready. Strange you never thought to report to the research lab here at Umbrella HQ. But I suppose I can let it slide. Anyway, send over the data, would you? And don't worry, you've done good work on G, but we can take care of the rest. You are under suspicion of breaching your contract with the Umbrella Corporation. It has become clear that you have claimed ownership of the G project and in unauthorized contact with the U.S. military. Please respond to this investigation. Committee summons for hours. William was just like, fuck the police. I found the G spot, me. No one else knew this secret. I found it with my own two hands. Or one. Generally one. You know, you know what you away until later's. And I shit. Shit. Alright. Use some handgun ammo. Be great. Oh, here we go. It only gives me acid rounds if I do the blade and the gunpowder. I mean, I wonder. I'm assuming acid might work against William. Yes. Be worth that. Go to horny jail. VHS player here too. Okay. Uh, that's okay. I feel like I need it. I know we gotta fight the. You're all clean now, Blair. You should be happy. No ick on you, or at least significantly less ick. Research Diary. After the G embryo was implanted in the subject, we made a 50 centimeter incision from the chest to the abdomen and began our observations. With the help of the medical team, the subject's consciousness level was kept between 15 lucid GCS 10. However, the subject's conscious level deteriorated and further observation was deemed unnecessary. The subject was then disposed of. The G virus was administered to subject 501. 501 mutated into G form and was introduced to a group of 30 test subjects. After 2 hours, 36 minutes, it was observed that all but one of the test subjects had been implanted with an embryo. All subjects were disposed of. One subject broke down during experimentation and took their own. We administered the G virus to subject 628, who had shown slight resistance to the T virus. The virus was then introduced to subject 639, with whom 628 had a close relationship. 628 showed some signs of resistance but had been implanted with an embryo after 24 minutes. T virus resistance does nothing to stop the mental deterioration caused by.
Damn it. Oh, look at that. Alright.
It'll
Hell yeah.
be
Now what?
super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Doc, we need to find the agent. Gotta get back to Sherry.
Man, fuck Sherry. We don't need her. Big gun pals. Guess this was Williams or the mother's like desk. What? Bam. Giving us lots of this. So got a fuckload of acid rounds now. So I don't. That's. I think greener. Sucking some of these for now. I'll get a greener. Don't know if anything else poisons, but I would prefer to have some more. I know those won't give me any health back, so still. So I should probably grab at least. I'm gonna grab two first, as I have a boss fight. I have a feeling that's what's coming up. I love him. Who's got the poo water off her now? Yeah, she did. Finally cleaned all the poo and disgusting shit off. That just from him. Oh, shit. Why would you get that close?
What the hell is this thing?
How this lands.
you. She's fine. No, not the super soaker, my only weakness. This. Ah! Oh no! Stop Good.
Target has been neutralized. Ending quarantine.
I don't believe you. For some sneaking reason, I don't believe. Ah, there's a grenade I could have used. I guess I could have used these
Is
grenades
now.
sooner. Oh yeah, I forgot I had the little electro thing too. I probably would have. Yeah, well, who would just go, I got this? Nah, fucking nobody. I guess I could have used the high powered rounds on them too. Oh well, I didn't need them. I was such a Chad. What princess? Go ahead, spray. Alright. Need that. So going. I don't know. I mean, I'm playing on easy, so probably yes. I'm gonna say yes for now.
Gotta get back to sharing.
Hey, I'm clean again. Wait, I thought I gave away my little wristband. How can I still go through? All right, we're gonna save. Save. Okay, we'll save the next. Wait, oh, he has the beats. Let's watch the beats. Oh, I'm sure. You're hiding out in the vents. All right. Didn't really need to watch that, but okay. It's fun. All right, now we can save. Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah. Yeah, I know. I was supposed to. Wait. This research facility uses the latest security technology in order to ensure employee safety and efficient business practice. In order to enter and exit the facility and to operate certain equipment, employees must use an ID wristband. There are three levels of access: visitor, general staff, and senior staff. Authentication is granted based on electronic chip inside the wristband. Wristband access level can be changed by simply inserting a different electronic chip. Visitor wristbands can be given to family members of employees. Please inquire at reception for further details. Yeah, like bring your family to bioweapons research day.
Hey, I didn't make it. My mom needs help. Annette? Or how are
Your favorite day to come in.
you? Mommy?
To say all your ribs are probably broken.
Oh, thank God. She's alright. Yes.
She's fine. She just needs a nap. You can walk it off. Yeah, for real, for real. No, you're not. Fine. You just didn't want this kid because she looks like a Chucky doll in the face. I'm dying. Yeah. Girl is like fucking 15 pounds. It's like, pick her up. Yeah, we have time for them. Yeah, the super evil lady that is the problem. I'm buying.
Unauthorized removal of a level 4 virus detected. Facility lockdown initiated. Self-destruct sequence will begin when lockdown is complete.
Ain't shit.
Attention.
Gotta get in the shed.
Sequence initiated. Use the central elevator to evacuate immediately to the bottom level train platform.
I saw Xenoverse 3 was coming out.
Attention.
I've never actually played any of the Xenoverse games.
Initiated.
I know they're pretty
Use
popular
the
though.
central elevator to evacuate immediately to the bottom level train platform.
And I know
Attention.
for some reason they're
Self-destruct
redoing the
sequence
Beerus arc for Dragon Ball Super, which is really random.
To the bottom level train platform.
I don't know what the purpose of that was, but I would prefer the Moro arc to begin.
Self-destruct sequence initiated. Use the central elevator to evacuate.
That's normal. That's
Thank
totally.
you for being so nice to me.
Attention. Self-destruct sequence initiated. Use the central elevator to evacuate immediately to the bottom level train platform.
It will let me point the gun at her.
Self-destruct sequence initiated.
Damn it.
Use the central elevator to evacuate immediately to the bottom level train platform.
What just fell?
Attention. Self-destruct sequence initiated. Use the central elevator to evacuate immediately to the bottom level train platform.
I think I still have to fight Mr. X, right?
Initiated. Use.
It's more considerate. Kind of decent. I guess I'll just grab it. Got like some John Carpenter-ass music going on now. Oh, now I have 10 minutes. It's
sequence
fine. Got first
initiated.
aid sprays.
Use the central
It won't
elevator to
matter.
evacuate immediately to the bottom level
I
train
know,
platform.
seriously. Like, they already had Battle of the Gods. Then they have the
Attention. Self-destruct
episodes.
sequence initiated. Use the central elevator to evacuate immediately
Real.
to the bottom level train platform.
Hold on.
Attention.
I think I can open it from the other side.
Initiated. Use the central elevator to evacuate immediately to the bottom level train platform. Self-destruct sequence initiated. Use the central elevator to evacuate immediately to the bottom level train platform. Attention. Self-destruct sequence initiated.
Where are your little ass up, Cherry? Jesus. Combo, fire,
Self-destruct sequence
and
initiated.
Fuego.
Use the central elevator to evacuate immediately to the bottom level train platform.
Why? I mean, I don't know, it doesn't make sense.
Self-destruct sequence initiated. Use the central elevator to evacuate immediately to the bottom level train platform. Attention. Self-destruct sequence initiated. Use the central elevator to evacuate immediately to the bottom level train platform.
Oh shit. Fuck. Is there a box in here?
Attention. Self-destruct
Yeah,
sequence
definitely need
initiated.
that. Let's get rid of. Oh fuck! I still have that stupid tape. Let me arrange some shit. So discard that. I don't even have the needle gun. Discard. Oh, I do have the needle. I don't fucking need it though. I can't just get rid of it.
Use the central
There we
elevator
go.
to evacuate
Hell yeah.
immediately to the bottom level train platform.
Here. Oh shit.
Attention. Self-destruct sequence initiated. Use the central elevator to evacuate immediately to the bottom level train platform. Attention.
Oh god damn it. Are you kidding me? Fuck.
Self-destruct.
That's annoying. Alright, we're gonna get rid of you. Don't really need that. And yeah, I can go. That's all of this card. I'm Philip.
Attention. Self-destruct sequence initiated. Use the central elevator to the bottom level train platform.
Ew, she does have two on her hands.
Alright, it's working. Claire! What? Leon? You're down here too?
Yeah, but the whole place is coming down. Look, you need to get out. Fast.
No, I found a way out. I think we can all make it. Where are you now?
Claire, are you still there?
Leon? I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Don't worry about me. Just get out of here.
Yeah, fuck
Leon!
Leon.
Leon! Damn!
Damn it. Waste that time. Might have to go. Oh, that's okay. No worries.
Self-destruct sequence initiated. Use the
Got
central elevator to
that.
evacuate immediately to the bottom level train platform. Attention. Self-destruct sequence initiated. Use the central elevator to evacuate immediately to the bottom level train platform.
Wait. No. Shit.
Attention. Self-destruct sequence initiated. Use the central elevator to evacuate immediately to the bottom level train platform.
I don't know if there's anything like particular that's like more effective. Let's get this. can imagine only how many times I would have died more than the normal difficulty. Okay. Okay. Oh, what the world? Two, motherfucker. Player kits are expensive. Thought I would have to fight the final boss now that I've done like the Claire playthrough. Do I seriously have to do another playthrough in order to fight the final boss? I gotta be, that's not too bad. Well, I don't want to play through this one again, so I am gonna have to pick a different game after this. So I will have to figure that out. We'll have to see what my PC can handle here. Let me go ahead and throw you guys in the lobby. Today was a little bit of a shorter stream here. I really just wanted to wrap up Resident Evil 2 Remake. So I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me while I played this game here. Again, I'm either going to find a new game to either start tomorrow or maybe we'll start working on some artwork or something. I will figure it out. I'll adjust the schedule. I'll let you guys know ahead of time. If you like the kind of content I do, please follow me to see when I go live. Consider subscribing. That would help me out tremendously.